Sunday morning, July 17th. Yesterday afternoon, there was threat of tornadic activity in the area. That passed, but in the night there was a thunderstorm. We knew it was coming. The local weather reporting is usually very, very good. I think the farm community would not put up with it if it were not. Anyway, we knew that there would be thunderstorm activity in the area overnight, and I went to bed. Big deal. Anyway, Jenny came bounding up the stairs to check on me after about the second big crash. She always expects me to be afraid of things that I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of spiders. I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of storms. But I guess her warning was prudent. She said the wind was gusting at 80 miles an hour. I don't know. I need to verify that number because that would be a pretty strong wind. But in any case, there was loud thunder. There was a lot of lightning. It sounded like, but I didn't even get up. Who cares, By then, I don't know. I'm not enthused this morning about anything. I did an earlier little broadcast, and for some reason it didn't take. It disappeared. So I don't know. I'm trying to redo it now, and I'm really not enthused. I guess you can tell it. So I'm still in my bathrobe and nightgown. I don't generally get dressed until about noon anyway, and by then I have half my day's work done. I have to talk today about some non-events. What actually do you say about non-events? The 37 cities that were to go into BLM riots on Friday night have not been heard from. No, and apparently this activity did not come to pass on Saturday either. And I would be very surprised if we hear anything about it on Sunday's news. It is as if all that didn't happen. I tend to think it didn't happen. Not much, anyway. I tend to think that the event was actually canceled, postponed at the last minute. I think there was too much information released in the hacking of the emails. Too many people suspected this, that, and the other thing. I think we did our job, and I think that they were forced to abort that particular part of the plan. So that didn't happen. The apparatus for it to happen remains in place, and I think they could reconvene it at any time they select. Another thing I have watched for and find no mention of is the Million Man March that was to take place on the Washington Monument Mall in Washington, D.C., involving the Pope and the evangelical church leaderships. To my knowledge, that hasn't happened either. Footage of it could still emerge, and I said, I expect that. I think they've already done that and filmed that, and I think they will rerun that at some point in time. And we definitely will have a deja vu experience when we see that. The other possibility that may have happened, and I certainly think that this did happen, is happening to a great extent, is the kettling of the news stream, of the news feed. Kettling. This is a phrase that came into my awareness during the Occupy movement. I believe that was in like 2012. And we became familiar with this tactic. It was a police tactic for more or less herding crowds, herding as in herding cattle, herding crowds, and kettling the crowd into a small defined area from which the crowd could not escape. This was kettling. And I think that has happened with the newsfeed. I am not the only one sensing that. One of the big websites that I look at also described it. So it's not just me. So the news feeds were all kettled. I'm going to use that expression. There was a choice given. You could either focus your attention upon the Pokemon phenomena, or you could go to the military coup attempt of the Islamic Republic of Turkey. Those were your two choices. Well, I am kind of illiterate a lot of times about popular phenomena. I just don't have interest in that. And I had no idea what the hell this idiot Pokemon thing was when it first came up in my face. Fortunately, I have a couple of advisors in the background who knew what Pokemon was. And they filled in my gaps a little bit. I don't know, took 4 or 5 sentences. And I said, okay, that's enough. I don't need to know any more about that. I certainly am not going to follow that. But it was suggested that that could be a way that the powers that be who exercise control over the internet could use the Pokemon phenomena to actually shut down the internet, any real use of the internet. And that, even, yes, that looks good natured and harmless. But yet, even that, I can see a demonic entity somehow embedding itself into the consciousness of the public, into conscious awareness through, how stupid. And I could be wrong, but I have the impression that this somehow started in Japan, where they're really into techie shit. And I don't know. I just don't know. All right, so we had 37 cities that did not riot. We had a 1,000,000-man march for which nobody showed up. The terror attack in France pretty much scrolled off the screen. And I did see quite a bit of ranting that the terror attack wasn't real, that it was just, another hoax. As if that comforts anyone. I don't understand why that idea would comfort anybody. But it does appear that people cling to that notion. Well, it was just a hoax. It was just a hoax. It wasn't real. And that's comforting? What is comforting about that? I don't get it. But I guess there's a lot of things I don't get. People find staying in their denial comforting also. I guess let them stay there. I don't know. Okay, I suppose, well, what's going to disappear next? Is Donald Trump going to disappear? Is he going to go completely vanish offline? What about the Republican National Convention that begins tomorrow? Is that going to disappear offline as well? What is happening? I don't know. All right, returning. I don't really want to. I hate this subject, in fact. This is probably the last thing in the world I ever thought I would have to cover or talk about, or even think about, to tell you the truth of it. So the news stream has been kettled down to where the only relevant material that I could really find to even post at all today. And I am going to change screens here a little bit. I'm not going to try to show you the screen. That's too techy for me, and I can't do all of that. But let me go over here where I can at least read from this. I'm going to put these articles up on the Outside blog in just a little while. This is, there's the newsfeed is almost non-existent tonight. This is from Gates of Vienna newsfeed. The news feed is almost non-existent tonight. Perhaps our tipsters were all trapped in Kirlik air base when the Turkish government cut the power. Y'all must forgive my pronunciation of some of these words that I have never heard pronounced before. I don't know how you correctly say that, pronounce that. Anyway, this is the big United States Air Force Base in Turkey. That big Air Force Base got grounded. And there are, all the United States Air Force bases do have a contingent of American families who accompany the servicemen. Usually people go for long deployments of at least a year. There are temporary duty assignments, anywhere from a month to 3 months. And when somebody goes TDY, the family does not accompany. But if it's a longer deployment, then the family accompanies. So it's not just American servicemen who are at this air base in Turkey, but there are a large number of American women and children, family members also. Yes, there is concern. The big stories of the day concern the aftershocks from the attempted military coup in Turkey. Thousands of soldiers and judges have been rounded up and arrested. At least one soldier was allegedly beheaded by a pro-Erdogan mob on the bridge in Istanbul. I have looked at that video. It's mainly blurred out. You can't really see anything. Very nice that they do this blurring and that they, want to shield people's sensitivities. Turkish authorities cut power to the airbase used by NATO forces. Okay, that American airbase is used by NATO forces. And we know, of course, who is running the NATO forces. And they refuse to allow any flights in or out. The German defense minister was reportedly denied entry to the base. Why was the German defense minister in Turkey? And why couldn't the German defense minister get into that NATO base? I don't know. There's so many things that, we'll never be able to get to the bottom of what actually is going on there. In other news, French Interior Minister somebody, I am not going to try to pronounce any of these names, said that the perpetrator of Thursday's truck jihad massacre in Nice appears to have been radicalized rapidly, thereby escaping the notice of the security services. That's bullshit. The fact is, there is no radical Islam. All of Islam is radical. All of Islam is radical. They don't have to get radicalized. Under some circumstances, they have to maintain a demeanor of being civilized. But that demeanor strips off in a heartbeat. These people don't have to get radicalized. They come that way. They are that way. To see the headlines in the article, click continue reading below. But as I said, I'm putting this stuff up. And I have put up again this horrendous picture. And I'm sure that this is the guy that got beheaded. And he knew it was coming. What strikes me about this photograph of this image is the sadness on this man's face. The utter, utter, utter sadness. Not necessarily sadness. This is the expression. A sorrow so deep that it has obliterated whatever personal terror or fear that he also may have been feeling. What you see on that face is the deepest of sorrows. Deepest of sorrows going on. Erdogan accused of possibly staging his own coup attempt. Well, yeah, certainly he did. Certainly he was aware and involved in this. Did Erdogan stage the coup? US-based Turkish cleric facing extradition over botched rebellion claims president orchestrated plot to justify a clampdown on civil rights. Well, that too. Yes, this certainly will result in a clampdown of civil rights in Turkey, if they had any civil rights to begin with. This is from a Breitbart article. And this Turkish cleric is in Pennsylvania, of all places. Erdogan has called on U.S. President Barack Obama to extradite this guy who is based in Pennsylvania. So there's a picture of this old geezer. And he, I think I read somewhere, has lived in Pennsylvania for almost 20 years. Wonder how he supported himself in Pennsylvania. In response to the attempted rebellion, Turkish authorities have detained 2,745 judges and prosecutors whose loyalty to the regime has been questioned. Also, some 2,839 soldiers, including the head of the 3rd Army Corps in Istanbul, General Erdal Uzturk, have been arrested. The Prime Minister described the plot, which claims the lives of 161 civilians, 1,440 wounded, as a black stain on Turkish democracy. Speaking from his home, this guy in Pennsylvania claimed democracy in Turkey could not be achieved through military action. He condemned the plot, although authorities in Ankara are not convinced. He said, "There is a slight chance, there is a possibility that it could be a staged coup. It could be meant for court accusations and associations. He added, it appears that they have no tolerance for any movement, any group, any organization that is not under their total control. President Erdogan told a crowd chanting for the death penalty on Saturday that such demands may be discussed in Parliament after a coup attempt by a faction in the military killed at least 161 people. Looking relaxed and smiling and giving an occasional thumbs up to his supporters in Istanbul, Erdogan said the coup attempt had been carried out by a minority in the army. He said, the army is ours, not that of the parallel structure. I am chief commander. Earlier, Erdogan urged the U.S. to extradite the guy in Pennsylvania, claiming Turkey never turned down an extradition request from Washington for terrorists. He said, I say if we are strategic partners, then you should bring about our request. Secretary of State John Kerry said, we fully anticipate that there will be questions raised. And obviously, we would invite the government of Turkey, as we always do, to present us with any legitimate evidence that withstands scrutiny. And the United States will accept that and look at it and make judgments about it appropriately. Secretary of State John Kerry, what a sleaze. They all are. Oh my God. All of this is crooked as a snake, as crooked as the serpent who is their father. Going on. Amid hints that Turkish coup was staged, Erdogan calls it gift from Allah. Why is the coup a gift from Allah? It has allowed him to begin his bloody purge, to consolidate his power and speed up the destruction of Turkish secularism and the re-Islamification of Turkey. After his Istanbul speech, many commenters suggest that Turkish coup attempt was staged, as the president called it, a gift from Allah. Article that is linked from a website called The Religion of Peace. And if you want to know what is really going on with Islam, you need to go and look at that website, The Religion of Peace. Okay, going on. There is an image. I have posted an image. This disturbing picture shows dozens of Turkish soldiers bound together after being stripped of their uniforms following their arrest. Going on. New emails and documents uncover ties between the Clintons and an Islamic imam from Turkey, who has been in self-exile in Pennsylvania since 1999. According to the Daily Caller, several pieces of evidence tie the Clintons to this guy, Fethullah Gulen. I know I am not pronouncing that anywhere near right. Against whom Turkish President Erdogan has launched a crackdown. In the past, this guy and his followers have had great influence over Turkey's media, court system, and the police. Mm-mm. So they're showing us the two hands. The white hand on one hand, the black hand on the other. And it's all the same hand. Emails and documents obtained by Judicial Watch show that this Pennsylvania group has been in contact with the Clinton camp. A 2009 email, for example, shows asking Hillary Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin, for help in putting one of his allies in touch with Obama for a meeting in Turkey. In another connection, a group with ties hired the Podesta group. John Podesta is a longtime Clinton aide and confidant for lobbying activities on Capitol Hill. The executive director of that Turkish group, the Alliance for Shared Values, has donated to the Clintons. All right, so the news was kettled, and this is what we got funneled into having to report. This is I hate all of this. I hate all of this. All of this Islamic stuff, every single bit of it, is the biblical sodomites. A while back on my thread, if you scroll way, way, way back, you will find this information. I did a workup which illustrates that there are three, I call them groups, but they are kinds of people we can recognize who are all sodomites. This is the Great Babylon. This is the great whore of Babylon that is spoken of in the last book in the Bible called the Book of Revelation. This is the Babylon. It's not a geographical location. It's not a nation state. It is not one ideology. Babylon the Great, the whore of Babylon, is the commingled satanic peoples who are presently rampaging across the face of the earth. One large group of them is the Islamics. A smaller group of them is the satanic Luciferian globalists, which include the Zionists. The Zionists are at the top of the chain, top of the pyramid. The Zionists, satanic Luciferian Zionists, are the puppeteers, puppet masters, who have brought about everything that we are seeing. So the globalist elites, who are satanic and Luciferian, satanic is the black hand, the glove, the hand in the black glove. Luciferian is the hand in the white glove. And that's where we got all that New Age stuff from was from the Luciferian hand. This is why the Masonic symbols are always shown on this black and white checkerboard floor. So it is both the basis of it all and the top of the pyramid, floor being the basis, the black and the white hands. That's the basic message of that piece of the symbology. All right. So that's that. This is so hard to describe, but we have to get it. Then the third group is the homosexuals and everyone who have been somehow connected and influenced by all of that. And they are sodomites also. Now, I am not saying that everybody in that group does or has done that particular sexual activity. Put it that way. Oh my God, what the hell am I eating? But there is a way where it is oh, now I've forgotten the term for that. Okay, see, I'm unraveling. I will instruct you, if you have not already seen this workup that I did. I think it was, I lost track of time. Several weeks back on my thread. You need to go back and find this information and review it. I am saying that this is, nobody is going to have the option long term to remain undivided, undecided on a fence. You're going to have to choose a side. You're either going to have to become one and stand with the people of God, or you're going to have to remain and be part of the enemy, the kingdom of darkness. Those are your choices. That's it. And it's coming to that. Push is coming to shove. I don't like talking about this. I find it very difficult. And it is a Sunday morning after a thunderstorm. And when I asked for a scripture this morning, what came to me was, joy cometh in the morning. For his anger endureth but for a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. That which I most feared has already come upon me. And I'm a couple of months into it now. It's not getting any easier. Not easier at all. But joy will cometh in the morning. hardened in heart anew. But glad to have sat under thunder and rain with you, and grateful too for sunlight on the garden. All right, talk to you later, Gator. Go forward.